Before the university entrance exam, my stepmother, Madame Song, wanting her son, Ethan Ha, to achieve excellent results, made him drink a mysterious Yin-Yang water she'd obtained every day. I warned her it was mere superstition and harmful to his health, but she only rolled her eyes and relentlessly mocked me. On the day of the university exam, her son vomited, suffered from diarrhea, and fainted right in the exam hall. I, on the other hand, excelled beyond expectations, enrolling in the prestigious university he had always dreamed of. Unbeknownst to me, while I slept soundly, Madame Song and her son took advantage of the opportunity to hack me to death with a knife, discarding my body in the wilderness for wild dogs to devour. Opening my eyes once more, I found myself back on the day my stepmother obtained the Yin-Yang water. "What is this? It stinks so much," Ethan Ha, pinching his nose, asked, half skeptical. "This is the Yin-Yang water I got from the Grand Master. Just drink it for a month, and I guarantee you'll excel in your university exams." Madame Song's words felt eerily familiar. I stared at the murky, foul-smelling bowl in his hand, my stomach churning with nausea. Suddenly, familiar scenes flashed through my mind. In my previous life, I pretended to accidentally bump into him, spilling the Yin-Yang water onto the ground. I then apologized and explained that it was just superstition and could be harmful to his health. To my dismay, not only was I unappreciated, but I was severely ridiculed. "Chloe Ha, I saw what you did. You're just jealous Ethan will get into a prestigious school, aren't you?" He even pushed me down, aggressively stabbing my hand with a broken ceramic shard. "What the hell do you know? What right do you have to lecture my mother?" The memories of my past life aligned perfectly with reality. The stinging pain from the shard still felt as if it lingered in my palm. Madame Song stood confidently beside him, deliberately blocking my view when she saw me stir. She urged Ethan, "Drink quickly, don't let her see." I lay on the sofa, a faint smile playing on my lips as I watched him. Ethan frowned, then chugged the entire bowl of Yin-Yang water in one gulp. Reborn into this life, I decided to respect the fate of others. That evening, when my father came home from work, Madame Song was unusually cheerful. This demeanor always signaled she was about to ask for money again. Indeed, during dinner, she casually brought it up. "Mr. Ha, my living expenses are all gone. Could you give me some more?" "Didn't I just give you some? What did you buy that ran out so fast?" In my previous life, Madame Song used this exact method to trick my father out of money, all of which she then poured into the Yin-Yang water. I hadn't wanted to cause trouble, so I hadn't exposed her. But later, I found out she twisted the story, claiming all the money was spent on me, leading my father to beat me almost to death. This life, I wouldn't be foolish again. Before she could open her mouth, I quickly interjected. "Father, stepmother Song has been shopping lately. She probably found a designer bag she wants to buy." Madame Song stared at me, stunned, completely unprepared for my words. My father hated superstition the most. She certainly wouldn't dare tell him the truth. She reluctantly nodded. Yes, I was just planning to buy a bag, dear." My father scolded her briefly, then went to his study. As soon as he left, she dropped her pretense. "Chloe Ha, you'd better keep your mouth shut." I feigned innocence, smiling faintly at her. "What are you talking about, stepmother? Didn't you want to buy a bag?" She slammed her chopsticks onto the table, scoffed coldly, and walked into the kitchen. When she returned, she held a black bowl of Yin-Yang water, which she took to Ethan Ha's room. If they wanted to buy it and he wanted to drink it, I would certainly facilitate their desires. After all, when one wants to strike and the other is willing to be struck, who can stop them? On my way home from school, passing a narrow alley, I saw someone siphoning something from a sewer. He drew a viscous liquid from the drain and poured it into a jar. It was utterly disgusting. I deliberately took a detour home to avoid the rising nausea. Arriving home, I saw Ethan Ha grimacing as he drank the Yin-Yang water. The black liquid in the bowl looked eerily similar to what I had just seen. I stood at the doorway, covering my mouth in disgust. Seeing this, Madame Song immediately snapped. "What are you looking at? It's none of your business. Get back to your room." I suppressed my nausea, pretending to be pitiful. "Can't I have a little? I want to pass my exams too." Ethan Ha scoffed, shaking the bowl. "Something this precious, you're not worthy." "Indeed, precious enough to send you to an early grave," I thought with a smirk, but on the outside I maintained a gloomy, disappointed expression. Seeing my reaction, the mother and son were immensely smug. After drinking for more than 10 days, Ethan Ha suddenly screamed in pain in class, clutching his stomach and writhing on the floor. The teacher told me to take him to the infirmary and called Madame Song. As the doctor prepared to examine him, Madame Song burst in, crying frantically, "Son, what's wrong? Where does it hurt?" Ethan Ha's face was chalk white, sweat beading like pearls. He sobbed, clinging to Madame Song, "Mother, my stomach hurts so much. Save me." The doctor gently pressed his abdomen, and he immediately shrieked in pain. Madame Song violently pushed the doctor away, angrily cursing, "Quack, you know nothing. Don't touch my son." As she spoke, she tried to pull Ethan Ha away, muttering, "My son, I'll take you to Master Zhang. He'll surely cure you." I didn't intend to go along, but Madame Song turned and snapped, "Are you blind? Your brother's in so much pain and you're not helping." In my previous life, I had kindly taken Ethan Ha to the hospital. But Madame Song cursed me in front of everyone, accusing me, "You want to kill my son. This hospital makes sick people healthy and healthy people sick. What are your intentions?" When I argued that only doctors could cure him, she slapped me hard. Later, while I slept soundly, she and her son hacked me to death and threw my body to wild dogs. Good deeds leading to ill will. This life, I absolutely would not repeat that mistake. Under the doctor's bewildered gaze, Madame Song and I helped Ethan Ha into a taxi. She gave the driver an address. The car drove for over 2 hours. By then, Ethan Ha was in so much pain he had passed out. We helped him out of the car and arrived in front of a dilapidated house. Madame Song knelt, bowing her head and weeping. "Master Zhang, please save my son." The door creaked open, and a man in a yellow Taoist robe emerged. I recognized him instantly. He was the man I'd seen earlier rummaging in the sewer. He wasn't a Taoist priest. He was a former restaurant owner whose business was shut down for using tainted oil. Now, he was posing as an immortal to scam people. I knew this, but I kept silent. He told us to place Ethan Ha in a coffin inside the house. Then, he took a wooden sword and made gestures over Ethan Ha's face, muttering strange incantations. After all his theatrics, he frowned, shook his head, and sighed, "Your son has fetal possession. His condition is very serious." Madame Song collapsed to the ground in a panic, crying and pleading, "Please, Master, save him. Please save him." Master Zhang stroked his beard and said gravely, "There is a way to expel the possession. A concoction made with ash can cure him." Madame Song quickly nodded, "Any amount of money, just save my son." She offered 5,000 yuan for a bowl of water mixed with ash. Not long after Ethan Ha drank it, he woke up and no longer complained of pain. The mother and son excitedly knelt and kowtowed before Master Zhang, exclaiming, "You truly are a divine immortal descended to earth. So powerful." Watching this ridiculous scene, I almost burst out laughing. In reality, I had secretly slipped Ethan Ha a pill. Yet, they believed it was the bowl of ash water. Ignorance truly is terrifying. On the way home, Madame Song even bought a large bottle of Yin-Yang water. She looked at me triumphantly, her face smug. "Chloe, once your brother gets into a prestigious university, I'll find you a good husband from his school." I smiled obediently and replied, "Thank you, Stepmother Song." That disgusting liquid from the sewer, God knows what it was mixed with, teeming with bacteria. Not dying was a blessing. Dreaming of university was pure fantasy. A few days later, Madame Song, from who knows where, heard that adding children's urine to the Yin-Yang water would enhance its effectiveness. So every day she'd wander around the neighborhood park, bottle in hand, asking for children's urine. That day, when I came home from school, I witnessed her trying to pull down a little boy's pants. Her deranged appearance terrified the child, who shrieked and cried, attracting his mother's attention. "Who are you? Why are you bullying my son?" The woman shoved Madame Song to the ground, clutching her child. But Madame Song was no pushover. She immediately spewed vulgar curses. "It's just a little urine. Do you have to be so stingy?" The mother cursed back angrily for a few moments, then took her child and left. From then on, whenever the neighborhood children saw Madame Song, they'd run away like their lives depended on it. Unable to find children's urine, she paced anxiously. That day, as I went to throw out the trash, I suddenly saw Madame Song standing blankly, staring at a nearby dumpster. I immediately hid in the bushes, silently observing. I watched as she looked around, confirmed no one was watching, then reached into the trash pile, pulled out a bag of something, and stuffed it into her purse. Still seeing no one, she took out a few more bags, then hurried home. Arriving home, I was met with a sight that made my skin crawl. Madame Song, eyes gleaming, was staring at a pile of used baby diapers. She took the diapers into the bathroom, using her hands to wring the urine into a basin. A pungent, acrid smell immediately filled the room, but she didn't seem disgusted at all. She even hummed a cheerful tune. I quietly pinched my nose, pretending not to notice anything, and walked straight into my room. After dinner, Madame Song brought out a bowl of Yin-Yang water and placed it in front of Ethan Ha. Now with added children's urine, the effectiveness was surely even more astonishing. The smell, however, was unbearable. Ethan Ha sniffed it, his expression immediately changing. He frowned uncomfortably and asked, "Mother, is this really drinkable? It smells completely different." Madame Song's face turned serious, her voice firm. "Listen to your mother. Would I ever harm you?" After a long hesitation, Ethan Ha finally held his nose, closed his eyes, and drank it all. As soon as he finished, his face contorted in a grimace. He continued drinking bowl after bowl of the yin-yang water. I thought he was on the verge of death. Surprisingly, by the third mock exam, Ethan Ha's rank had leaped over 400 places. When I saw the posted scores, I couldn't believe it. He had always been outside the top 500, but this time he was in the top 100, even surpassing me. My friend Sarah, standing next to me, pulled me aside and whispered, "Chloe, your stepbrother's quite good, huh?" She was about to say more when there was a sudden commotion. I turned around. Ethan Ha and a group of male students were swaggering towards me. He stopped in front of me, smiling faintly and disdainfully. "Chloe Ha, with your grades, you probably won't even get into university, will you?" His cronies behind him immediately burst into laughter. Of course, I wasn't stupid enough to believe the yin-yang water was effective. Looking at their smug faces, I got goosebumps. I offered a faint, chilling smile. "Do you think you'll even survive until the university entrance exam?" The smile on his face instantly froze. Immediately after, he yelled furiously, "Chloe Ha, how dare you curse me? Do you want to die?" He raised his fist and lunged at me, but before he could even touch me *thump*, he tripped, falling miserably to the ground. Watching his flustered cronies help him up, I pulled Sarah away. After school, I noticed Ethan Ha didn't go straight home. Instead, he limped towards the pavilion behind the school. He stood there for a while, then another male student approached. I recognized him as the top student in my class. The two spoke cryptically for a moment, then Ethan Ha surreptitiously received something from him. After that, they parted ways. I smirked faintly and quickly circled around to the main building. At dinner, Madame Song proudly boasted to my father, "Mr. Ha, Ethan has improved by 100 ranks this time." My father happily patted his head. "Well done, son." Ethan Ha immediately whined, "Father, you promised. If I improved by 100 ranks, you'd buy me the latest game console." My father laughed heartily. "All right, I'll take you to buy it later." Watching Ethan Ha's triumphant face, I silently ate my dinner, saying nothing. But Madame Song clearly wasn't going to miss an opportunity to mock me. "Chloe, your brother says you've dropped in rank again. This won't do." Hearing that, my father immediately flared up. "Chloe Ha, what do you do all day? Look at your brother. Can't you learn from him?" I calmly picked up a slice of cucumber, leisurely put it in my mouth and said, "Learn what, cheating? I can't learn that." Ethan Ha, hearing this, immediately slammed his chopsticks down on the table. He yelled, "What nonsense are you talking about, sister? Don't slander your brother without proof." Madame Song quickly chimed in with him. My father looked at me with a cold, stern expression. "Do you know what you're saying?" All three of them glared at me, their eyes as if trying to pierce through me. I simply wiped my mouth calmly and stood up, intending to go to my room. "Stop right there, Chloe Ha," my father roared, grabbing a feather duster, ready to strike me. But just then, *ring, ring, ring, the piercing phone rang. My father stopped, took out his phone, and answered, "Hello, Teacher Lee, what?" The call ended, and the space immediately fell silent. Ethan Ha seemed to realize something. He quietly retreated towards the door. "Ethan Ha, stop." My father delivered a swift kick that sent him sprawling to the ground. The feather duster immediately whipped down on him repeatedly. "Mother, save me." Hearing his screams, Madame Song finally snapped out of her daze. She quickly rushed forward to shield him. "Mr. Ha, why are you hitting my son?" My father trembled with rage, breathing heavily as he pointed at her. "You raised him well, didn't you? Your son even knows how to cheat on exams. I wondered why he improved so fast. If I don't beat him to death today, it won't be right." Unexpectedly, Madame Song suddenly pointed at me and screamed, "It's her. It must be her trick." "She's slandering Ethan," my father glared. "The teacher has already asked the top student in the class, and the parents have been invited to school. Are you still defending your son? You spoiled him into this." No, it's not like that." But by now, my father's reason had been consumed by anger. She and Ethan Ha hugged each other, crying bitterly, taking continuous blows. I, meanwhile, calmly sat and watched the show. In my previous life, he also slandered me, claiming I took his money to go to an idol's concert. My father didn't listen to me then either, beating me almost to death. Ethan Ha even handed my father a huge wooden club to hit me with. As a result, I was beaten within an inch of my life, bruised all over. Thinking of that, I immediately went into Ethan Ha's room, retrieved that very wooden club, and gave it to my father. They had to experience the same pain I had endured. The heavy club slammed down, making dull thudding sounds. Watching them get beaten until they cried miserably, I felt utterly vindicated. Finally, my father, exhausted from beating them, slammed the door and left. Madam Song tremblingly helped Ethan Ha up. His face was swollen like a pig's head. He hissed at me, "Chloe Ha, don't think I don't know you did this." I smirked. "So what if you know? Do you have proof?" He choked on his words, so enraged he almost spat blood and angrily turned into his room. In truth, I was indeed the one who reported him. That day, I waited at the main building's entrance, intercepting the top student in our class. After a conversation, he admitted that Ethan Ha had threatened him. So, I took him to the teacher to recount the entire truth. As a result, Ethan Ha was suspended from school for cheating. Furthermore, he was so severely beaten that he had to recover at home. I thought that after this incident, they would understand that the Yin-Yang water was useless. But to my surprise, Madam Song thought the medicine wasn't strong enough. So she doubled the dosage of the Yin-Yang water and even added another secret ingredient, a basin full of bright pink golden apple snail eggs. They looked beautiful, but inside, they were teeming with deadly parasites. She crushed the snail eggs and poured them into the black Yin-Yang water. The thick, gooey liquid looked utterly repulsive. She placed the bowl directly in front of Ethan Ha, deliberately ensuring I saw it. As he drank, I could even distinctly hear the snail eggs crunching in his mouth. With each swallow, who knew how many parasites entered his stomach? Yet, he drank happily, unaware that he was about to be killed by his own mother. But such a large quantity of Yin-Yang water naturally cost a lot of money. These past few days, I'd heard Madam Song calling everyone, trying to borrow money. After being beaten by my father, she no longer dared to ask him for money, so she had to scramble everywhere to find funds. But for a person like her, who would genuinely help, hello, she hung up again. She gnashed her teeth in frustration. "All you damn scoundrels. Just wait until my son gets into a prestigious school, won't you all come crawling to fawn over him then?" Judging by her furious expression, she had definitely been rejected again. With her so anxious, how could I not lend a helping hand? The stairwells of our apartment complex were always plastered with advertisements, including plenty of loan shark flyers. Before going out, I conveniently slipped a business card into the crack of her door. Then, I hid on the stairs, waiting for the show. Not long after, the door opened. Madam Song picked up the business card, examined it briefly, and then went back inside. The next day, she brought back 2 new bottles of Yin-Yang water. From 1 bowl a day, it had now become 3 bowls daily. These past few days, the dark circles under Ethan Ha's eyes grew darker, and his spirits became increasingly low. My father noticed this at dinner and spoke up. "Should we take him to the hospital for a checkup?" No one expected Madam Song to immediately jump up and object. "Hospitals are all scams, they just want to drain our money. They run all sorts of tests and never find anything." My father looked at her sternly. "Look how gaunt Ethan is, we need to find the cause." He was determined to take him to the hospital, and Madam Song's attempts to stop him were futile. I glanced at Ethan Ha, who was yawning widely, and a thought struck me. I casually said, "Father, maybe he's staying up all night playing games. Not getting enough sleep could be why he's like this." As soon as I finished speaking, Ethan Ha instantly sobered up, quickly crying out, "No, I haven't. What nonsense are you talking about, sister?" But my father didn't believe him. He turned to question Madam Song. "What time does he come home every day?" Madam Song stammered for a while, giving a vague time. My father slammed the table and roared, "He wasn't home at 8 p.m. last night, and you're saying he came home at 7 p.m.? My father was truly furious. He delivered a direct slap across Ethan Ha's face. Normally, my father would hit people, but he had never slapped anyone directly. This slap was an utter humiliation. Ethan Ha clutched his face, disbelief turning into a scream, "I hate you!" With that, he bolted out. Madam Song hesitated for a moment, then chased after him. By 3 a.m., they still hadn't returned. This matter originally had nothing to do with me, but my father dragged me out of bed and ordered me to find them. He told me to search to the west. I took the opportunity to take a shortcut, intending to sneak back home. Unexpectedly, as soon as I turned into a narrow alley, I was blocked by Ethan Ha and two thugs. Ethan Ha's face was contorted, and the other two swaggered with an air of superiority. From their clothes, they looked like local hoodlums. One of them eyed me up and down, a lewd grin on his face. "This bitch ruined Ethan's fun, huh?" He reached out to touch my face. "She's pretty too, isn't she?" Whack, I slapped his hand away forcefully, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, my voice cold. "Do you want to leave here on your feet or be carried out?" Ethan Ha scoffed mockingly. "Chloe Ha, I told you, I won't let you off the hook." He waved his hand, commanding the two thugs, "Do whatever you want with her, but don't kill her." The two bastards grinned lewdly, slowly approaching me. But arg, before they could even touch me, they shrieked miserably, clutching their bleeding hands and fled in terror. Only I remained, a small dagger in my hand, its blade still dripping blood, gleaming coldly. Ethan Ha froze. He hadn't expected me to have a knife. "Chloe Ha, you intentionally caused injury. You've broken the law." I raised the knife, taking a step towards him. "Don't you know I'm just acting in legitimate self-defense?" "How can a girl like me fight three boys?" Ethan Ha's face went pale. He sank to the ground, swallowing hard. I lightly tapped the blade against his cheek, leaning down to whisper, "You'd best not lay a hand on me. If I lose my mind, I can't guarantee what will happen." With that, I wiped the bloodstain on his collar with my hand and turned to leave. Did he think I was still the Chloe Ha of the previous life, the docile girl who let them torment her? She had died long ago, under the knives of his mother and him. After that incident, Ethan Ha became much more compliant, no longer constantly picking fights with me. Madame Song, however, continued her research into the Yin-Yang water. She brought back bottle after bottle, sometimes even enough for 3 days' use. She busily wrung out urine and crushed golden apple snail eggs, oblivious to the news report on TV about Master Zhang being arrested for fraud and illegal superstitious practices. I quietly turned off the TV, saving electricity. Finally, the university entrance exam day arrived. Madame Song patted Ethan Ha's shoulder, giving him thorough instructions. "Ethan, you must do well, my entire life is riding on you." But he just grumbled, "I know already, stop nagging." Outside the exam center, parents and students crowded the gates, waiting for them to open. I was no exception. In my previous life, I had entered the exam room full of hope, holding the acceptance letter to a prestigious university. But because of their jealousy, I died a tragic death. Now, looking at a pale, emaciated Ethan Ha, I knew that moment was approaching. A few minutes before the school gates opened, he did exactly as he had in my previous life. He held my exam admission ticket, dangling it in front of me, provoking, "Chloe Ha, look what this is." I didn't even bother to look, deliberately moving further away. Seeing my lack of reaction, he erupted in anger, tearing my admission ticket into tiny pieces and tossing them into the air. "Let's see how you take your exam now." It was then that I turned to look at him, my eyes full of hidden meaning, and quietly chuckled, "Why don't you take a closer look at whose name is written on it?" "What are you talking about? Isn't it yours? If you don't need it, just throw it away." It was then that he froze, frantically rummaging through his bag. But the exam time was approaching, and he still couldn't find anything. He was so panicked he broke out in a sweat, gasping for breath. Just then, Madame Song rushed over, carrying the last bowl of Yin-Yang water. "Drink it quickly." But Ethan Ha was on the verge of tears. "Mother, I lost my admission ticket. That damn Chloe Ha tore it up. What do I do now?" Hearing this, Madame Song quickly shoved the bowl into his hand, then strode towards me, hands on her hips, bristling with fury. "You little bitch, how dare you?" Crash. A deafening sound of shattering echoed. Everyone looked towards the source of the noise, then crowded around. They saw Ethan Ha slumped over, vomiting uncontrollably. Black vomit splattered across the ground, and a pungent stench filled the air, making everyone pinch their noses. Madame Song was stunned for a few seconds before rushing to hug her son. "Ethan, what's wrong with you?" But his whole body was shaking violently, uncontrollably. Black vomit clung to both mother and son. Everyone backed away, so disgusted they almost vomited themselves. Suddenly, a horrific smell wafted up. Someone gasped in horror, "Damn it, he's soiled himself. Oh my God, it's terrible, it's flowing down his pants." The scene was utterly disgusting. Madame Song froze, only able to stare blankly while clutching her son. Not far away, a group of reporters were eagerly filming. It went without saying that the mother and son were about to become viral sensations. Bell rang. I glanced at the shattered Yin-Yang water bowl on the ground, then calmly walked into the exam room. Someone had probably called an ambulance, but that was none of my concern. This year's exam paper was identical to my previous life's. In my previous life, I had meticulously compiled all my mistakes. This time, I aced the exam much more smoothly, and I was the first student to leave the exam room. Outside the school gates, reporters were waiting. "How did you find today's exam?" I looked directly into the camera and calmly replied, "Loving yourself the most is the only thing truly worth it." My interview quickly went viral, but at the same time, Madam Song and Ethan Ha also trended, the difference being that I was praised, while they received only scorn. The humiliating scene of the mother and son quickly spread across major video platforms. My father, of course, saw it. He called to ask me, and I recounted everything, omitting nothing. A few days later, the mother and son completely disappeared. It wasn't until the 5th day that my father called. "Ethan is not going to make it." I hadn't intended to go, but out of humanity, I thought I should at least see him off one last time. Before I even entered the hospital room, I heard Madam Song's sharp voice. "Mr. Ha, Ethan is your son, why won't you save him?" My father said coldly. "I'm not a doctor. How am I supposed to save him?" "I don't care, you must save him. He's my only child. Mr. Ha, I've been with you for so many years. I've never asked you for anything. This time, I'm only begging you to save my son." When anger didn't work, she started playing the victim. I had already asked Ethan Ha's primary doctor. The doctor had straightforwardly advised that it was better not to treat him. This type of illness would cost hundreds of millions from the start, even requiring imported medical equipment from abroad, with costs soaring into billions and still no guarantee of a cure. At best, they could maintain his consciousness, but he would be no different from a soulless corpse. Inside the hospital room, Madam Song was weeping bitterly. "Ethan is only 18. He's so young, if he dies, I won't be able to live either," my father said coldly. "Now you ask for help. When I told you to take him for a checkup, you flatly refused." Hearing this, Madam Song's expression suddenly changed, as if she had just remembered something. She mumbled, "That's right, Master Zhang. He can definitely save my son." She immediately shoved the door open and rushed out, right into me. I feigned distress, holding up my phone in front of her. The news of Master Zhang's arrest for fraud was displayed prominently on the screen. "Stepmother Song, he's a swindler. That so-called Yin-Yang water was actually just sewer water, and the children's urine, it was all a scam." Madam Song stared at the screen, her breathing ragged. Suddenly, she violently threw my phone to the ground, screaming, "No, it can't be, he's not a swindler." She staggered back a few steps as if going mad, then collapsed onto the floor. It was then that my father finally understood. "Madam Song, your superstition has destroyed your own son, turning him into this. Are you satisfied now?" Before he finished speaking, he raised his hand to strike her. But just then, thud. Ethan Ha, on the hospital bed, suddenly began to convulse violently, his limbs twisting strangely. Before anyone could get close, white foam erupted from his mouth. Under the hospital lights, something seemed to be wriggling in the foama horrific sight. "Ethan Ha is dead," the doctor announced. His body was riddled with parasites, his brain almost completely hollowed out. In addition, too many bacteria invaded, causing severe infection. It was an extremely painful death. My father couldn't take it anymore. He filed for divorce from Madam Song. She initially resisted, arguing fiercely, but ultimately, under my father's pressure, she was forced to sign the divorce papers. Despite her desperate pleas, my father flatly kicked her out of the house. In July, I received my acceptance letter to a more prestigious university than in my previous life. Madam Song's whereabouts were unknown, but none of that concerned me anymore. Due to my excellent performance, my father specially held a celebration and rewarded me with 50 million VND for shopping. When Madam Song was still at home, I had never been able to buy new clothes. I only had 2 faded, almost white old uniforms. That day I happily went shopping, carrying several large bags, humming a song as I walked. It was already dusk. I was almost back at the apartment complex when whoosh. Madam Song suddenly lunged out, blocking my path. Her hair was disheveled, her clothes torn and dirty. She looked utterly deranged. But I knew she wasn't mad, on the contrary, she was very lucid. I stood still, arms crossed, waiting to see what she would do. But she didn't say a word, just stood there like a lost soul. I stood for a long time and grew bored, about to leave. But just then, she lunged. "You bitch, I'll kill you." In her hand, she held a knife. Memories of my previous life immediately flooded back the image of her holding a knife, hacking me to death. But this time, things were different. Before she could even touch me, a powerful kick sent her sprawling to the ground. A man grabbed her hair and spat directly on her face. "You owe money and you try to run away? Do you think I'm a vegetarian?" Madame Song frantically struggled, kicking wildly. "I'll pay, please give me more time." The man laughed disdainfully. He tightly gripped her hair as if carrying a chick, then dragged her into the adjacent alley. 4 days later, her body was found. Her internal organs had been completely removed, her body hollow. When the corpse was discovered, wild dogs were gnawing at it.